All right, so there were in the fourth quarter, Davis Mills, we know, is outstanding in the fourth quarter of this game. There were multiple times, Seth, that I'm sitting up there in the press box with you and Reggie, a few others, and I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, the season is over if they don't make a play right here. Mm-hmm. There were 5 of them for me that really stood out with Davis Mills. The very first one was by yardage the shortest out of all of them, but the Texans had been on a drive that started at the end of the third quarter, carried into the fourth quarter. This was the drive that made the score 29-18. It was 29-10. They have a 4th and 2. It was 3rd and 2 at the Jags 17-yard line. They don't convert there. It's 4th and 2. There's 13 minutes left in the game. And I looked on the ESPN.com. They had a 1.6% win probability at that point. Game. Jacksonville territory 4th and 2, and I remember saying to you, they've got to get this here. The game's over. You've got to get the ball back 3 times now instead of 2 if you don't get it here. And I think Reggie thought I was insane for even entertaining the possibility of them winning the game.
That's where. That's exactly when they got down here. That's when I said, well, they've got a chance to make this a football game
if
at
they
least.
Score here.
I didn't believe it.
Right. Yeah, the win was 29-10. They haven't done anything.
They had a 2% chance of making this a game.
Yeah, 1.6% win probability. But they convert the 4th down. Here's what it sounded like.
Noel out to the short side left as they break the huddle. Nico to the right with Higgins stacked. 4th and 2 at the Jags 17. Mills under center, Marks in the backfield. Here's Noel in motion to the right. Mills takes the give, throws right side. Noel has the first down, steps to the bounds at the 12-yard line. The rookie does it again, makes another play for his Texans.
Wide open.
Yeah, and the reason it was wide open, we talked about earlier some of the motion that they'd been using in that game. Yeah. Jalen Noel's out to the left, and he does a little whipsaw motion where he comes to his right, stops, goes to his left, and you can see the linebackers in the secondary trying to swap responsibilities and sort out all of that as it's happening. Meanwhile, the Jaguars have a blitz coming, so they've got a free runner in Davis Mills' face, but the pre-snap motion is what created that confusion in the secondary, and you end up with Jalen Noel wide open. So that's credit to Nick Caley and Jalen Noel and Davis Mills for pulling that off, but they schemed that. That wasn't just a simple mental error by the Jaguars. A really confusing motion to get him open there.
That is, and it was wide open. And I would say if Mills puts it on him a little bit more, he might have been able to turn upfield. Yeah. There's that much room there.
He did kind of turned that wide open pass into like a toe tap. Sometimes like a toe tapper with 10 yards of margin.
All's well that ends well. But So that was the first one. You don't convert on that 4th down. The Jags get the ball back, and you need to get the ball back 3 times in order to keep the season alive. So they convert there, and then on that same drive, so they get the ball down to the 12. They miss out on 1st and 10, 2nd and 10. That might have been the series too. I can't remember if it was that one or the Schultz touchdown where it looked like Nico might have gotten interfered with on 2nd down in the end zone. That might have been the Schultz touchdown. At any rate, 3rd and 10.
Oh no, it was a missed. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
3rd and 10. Jags 12. Now there's about 12 and a half minutes to go. 2.1% win probability at this point, Seth. So their chances of winning the game have gone all the way from 1.6% to 2.1%. But it's 3rd down, and you've got 10 yards to go, and Mills came up big. Here's the Jaden Higgins touchdown.
3rd down and 10 at the Jaguars 12. Higgins in motion to the left, Mills in the gun, Marks to his right. Nico Collins, short side right. Davis Mills awaits the snap. Here it is. Mills in the pocket. Mills to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Jaden Higgins. The Texans score.
And Jaden Higgins scores the touchdown there, and they get the touch, go for 2. Nico makes probably one of the catches of the year that won't show up on the grid anywhere because it was a 2-point conversion. It wasn't part of his receiving stats or anything. Yeah. And every point was big at that point in the game. That made it a game where you were still keeping the field goal in play. It was an 11-point game at that point.
Yeah, and it was this was just a great throw by Davis Mills. They had a route combination to the left that just got Higgins open long enough in that window, and it was just a well executed play.
Yep, 3rd and 10, and they execute and they get the touchdown. All right, so the Texans defense comes up big. They get the ball back, and they go on their next touchdown drive. got down inside the Jacksonville 10-yard line. 3rd and 3 at the Jacksonville 7. You needed everything to still be going right at this point. There's 7.5 minutes left in the game. So again, you're down here. I suppose you could have kicked the field goal. You're down 11, so you were bound to make it a one-score game. But the fact that you could apply the fact that that you got a touchdown here and you weren't having to make a 2-point conversion just to tie the game a little bit later was big. Dalton Schultz scores the touchdown toe tapper in the back of the end zone.
One back, Woody Marks on 3rd and 3 at the Jacksonville 7. Mills awaits the snap from Andrews. Here it is. Davis looking. Davis with time. Davis pumps. Davis throws. Right side. Back of the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Dalton Schultz. Rock and roll. Back-to-back drives with touchdowns. Mills within a score.
That was a hell of a catch by Dalton Schultz.
And Schultz had to deal with a lot of traffic. First in releasing, he was tried to release. He got hung up by the defensive end. It was slanting across his face. And then he actually there probably should have been a defensive holding flag on this play before he came clear. And maybe they would have thrown it if he hadn't caught the touchdown.
Yeah.
But that was like a muddy, murky path for him to get there, and the fact that Mills got good protection. It was just a 4-man rush, but Mills just dialed up a great throw there, high in the end zone. The pass protection was really good on that. He did at the very end. Mills had some pressure in his face as he threw it, though.
Yeah, it was a great throw, great catch, and that made it 29-24. The Texans fail on the 2-point conversion, so they trail by 5. They know they're going to need a touchdown in order to win the game. The field goal is out of play at this point. But I'll be honest with you, Seth, and I know Davis Mills has had some good moments as a Texans quarterback. His record going into that game yesterday was 5-19-1 as a starter, though. We're just not used to seeing Davis Mills come up big in this many situations as he did in the fourth quarter of this game. And I remember you and I talking during this final drive that's coming up here, and us thinking to ourselves, okay, the lights are on now, Davis. 29-10, maybe the Jags are in prevent a little bit. They're content giving up some yardage and burning some clock. We see teams do that all the time that are up 3 scores. It's just the Texans kept converting and getting some chunk plays and running the football and things like that. 29-24, 7-yard line. Okay, now the spotlight is on. Let's see, Davis, if you can keep doing this. This might be the play ultimately for me that might have saved the season. There are 6 minutes left in the game, so theoretically the Texans could have gotten the ball back another time to try to go take the lead. But at their own 7, it's 3rd and 10, and Davis Mills comes up with a huge play to Dalton Schultz.
3rd and 10 from the Houston 7. One back, Marks. Mills in the gun. 3 receivers left. Nico short side right. Davis standing in his end zone after the snap. Throws right side. Caught Schultz. 20, 25 right side. And down across the 28-yard line. First down, Houston. Wingard gets there along with the Lewican, but not until Schultz moves the sticks. 20-yard throw from Mills to Dalton.
That would go on to be a 14-play drive.
Right.
That burned off almost the rest of the clock.
2 of those drives, what was a 12-play drive, a 6-play drive, and a 14-play drive. That's
right.
Something that's just been few and far between in the fourth quarter versus teams. So, and the great thing about this play was Woody Marks came up and attacked the blitzing linebacker in pass protection. Ariante Ursary didn't have an awesome snap versus Josh Hines-Allen, but in comparison to the fourth quarter last time where, C.J. Stroud was having his arm hacked as he threw the final interception, yep. Davis Mills got the ball off just in time, and Ariante Ursary held Josh Hines-Allen off just long enough for Davis Mills to complete this. But then also I think it was the communication or the relationship between Davis Mills and Dalton Schultz, and Dalton Schultz to go when he faced the linebacker and coverage on him, and those two, Davis Mills and Dalton Schultz, were just on the same page. So it was just very, very. I think Dalton Schultz had talked in the pregame interview about him and Davis Mills working together all the time and having this relationship already, but then this week especially really amping that up, and that very much looked the case. Dalton Schultz and Davis Mills were very much on the same pate in this game.
Davis Mills made that throw that we're talking about right here and that you're looking at on your computer. He made that look way easier than it is.
Right.
I mean, he's throwing. He's pushed over to the left hash a little bit here, and he's having to throw across a defender who might could step in that passing lane right there. I mean, he placed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Out where only Dalton could get that ball. Like that was a little pressure coming in on him.
Yeah. He had the backer coming up. Woody Marks got a piece of the backer, but the backer came off of him, and it was in Dalton Schultz, in Davis Mills' face, as Josh Hines Allen actually got Davis Mills to the ground after that throw. So it was a 16th of a second before it could have been a sack and could have been a safety in the end zone.
Yeah, it could have been a safety. And then that's 2 points. Now it's a 7-point game, and you're giving the ball back to him. Instead, it's a first down, and the Texans would go on to grind the clock down under a minute. And then the Texans got down. Boy, that pass interference call puts him at the 2-yard line. Woody Marks scores the touchdown, but it gets nullified due to a false start on Trent Brown. So you're going, okay, well, this is where Davis Mills being cursed as a starter for the Texans. In goal to go. Finally, when they're scoring down inside the 10-yard line, here we go, and it's a false start on Trent Brown, and then a false start on Ariante Ursary, and it pushes the ball back to the 14-yard line. 3rd and goal from the 14. So you've got to score on one of these next 2 plays because you're under a minute. You've committed to this drive being the game-winning drive.
Yeah.
They were not going hurry up and saying, well, if we don't score, at least we're going to leave our side. It was going to be you either win on this drive or you lose the game.
You and I had that discussion at the beginning of the drive. We're like, okay, well, they're running the ball a fair amount. This isn't, they're definitely not hedging their bets here.
This is it.
And saying, okay, maybe we just get into field goal range, kick a field goal, try to get the ball back. They're going to try to grind the clock down.
That's right, and they did. They did a successful job of that. The problem is they got those 2 false start penalties. So what do you do on 3rd and goal from the 14-yard line with under a minute to go? You do this.
37 seconds to go. 29-24, Texans trailing. 3rd and goal at the 14. Mills, shotgun, Marks to his left, 2 receivers, wide side right. Here's the snap. Davis looking. Davis stepping to his left. Davis on the run. 10. Davis 5. Davis to the corner. Davis! Touchdown, Houston! The Texans take the lead on the Mills scramble. Amazing! D. Mills gets it done. 30 seconds to go, and Houston leads by 1.
I love Marc Vandermeer screaming Davis' name like he just lit the carpet on fire in the living room or something. Davis!
Look, and this is, last week when Mills was thrown in the middle of the game, and he looked kind of unprepared for some of the things he was seeing defensively. One of the things that he could have been doing when when he was only getting a 3-man rush or less of a pass rush, he could have pulled the ball and run, and he did just that.
I wonder if they said that to him this week.
Yeah, I know, and I think D'Amico had mentioned that at some point.
Oh, yeah,
this
he
week.
did. He did. You're right. Using his legs.
Encourage him to run, use his legs in those situations.
Yeah.
Especially last week when the defense was dropping 8 guys into coverage and there's just simply nobody available. Take the easy yardage.
You talked about it earlier on this play, though. The thing that didn't get mentioned on that play, and I'm not blaming Mark for not mentioning it. He's calling what he's seeing with Davis. But when you go back and watch the play, man, the box out that Woody Marks had at the goal line.
On Devin Lloyd.
Yes.
So Woody Marks turned back, saw that Mills was scrambling, and he started he started extending his route, which helped clear the Devin Lloyd, who was covering him, a little further downfield, and then he turned around and boxed out and gave Davis Mills just the right window he needed. And Davis Mills, I'm going to give lots of credit to quarterbacks now whenever they don't take a hit when diving or anything. He did a good job of protecting himself on that one.
And getting inside the pylon at the same time. That was and there's somebody snapped a picture of it down behind the pylon there, and it's a great shot of Davis just got that ball tucked up against his chest and just sliding in, man. It was hell of a play. Here's what Davis Mills said after the game. What did he see on that play?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of had an interview right after the game on the calling a play that we had already called in the game. They kind of just sat back in zone coverage, and as I was getting through my progression, scramble lane opened up kind of in the same direction as where Woody's check down was, and as I pushed up in the pocket, he ended up making a big-time block, and I was able to find a way in the end zone.
I'm missing a hell of a radio show here.
Yeah,
I don't know if our listeners could hear that or not, but yeah.
They can hear it fine. I think it's a connection with
right.
us. Yeah.
Okay.
We'd have shut it down if they couldn't hear it. But, yeah, they can hear it fine. But Davis talking about what he saw right there. And Uncharacteristically, Davis getting out of the pocket and getting the game-winning touchdown. My biggest takeaway with Davis Mills yesterday, Seth, is how big he came up in these situations. All 3 of the touchdowns in the fourth quarter of this game by the offense, of course we know Sheldon Rankins had the one to close things out, all came on third down. Yeah. They all came on third down.
And third and longs, too, at times. Like that was, there's so many moments in that game where everything could have just gone awry and fallen apart.
Great point. Four of those plays we just replayed right there were on third down, and 2 of them were 3rd and 10, and 1 was 3rd and goal from the 14.
Yeah.
Not easy situations.
No. He was really, really good. You know, yesterday was, in that play specifically, it was one of the few times I can remember believing that Davis Mills ran a 4.540 at his pro day or whatever it was. It was I'm like, all right. I don't remember really always seeing it all that much. That felt like a COVID time.
It'll be a 4.3 by this afternoon, I tell you.
Supply chain issue. Stop 2020, but like he looked genuinely fast, and he is strong. There's sometimes in the pocket where he does a good job of shaking off contact and keeping a play alive. He makes you nervous while he's doing it. He
took a beating his first 2 years in the league, and I don't think he ever missed games due to injury. He missed games due to getting replaced by Kyle Allen.
Did you see that high school picture they showed on the broadcast of him?
Yes. It was next to Trevor Lawrence, too. I'm like, God, these are 2 of the least inspiring high school pictures I've ever seen. But this was the class in Georgia that year?
So Davis Mills' neck.
It was even longer back then.
Well, because he's got that awkward high school
look
about him.
Kid ever had,
he had to grow into his neck.
Exactly.
He didn't get all the way there.
No.
But he's still, he's lucky he does his neck exercises, because if that thing wasn't muscular, that would be a danger. He might have had his head lopped clean off at some point.
Remember the Titans game last year at the end of the year where it was the meaningless game, so CJ played like 2 series, and Davis played most of the game, and it was a goal-to-go situation, and Davis went like up and over the pile and landed on his face.
Yeah.
And his body was perpendicular to the ground, but his face was smushed. And like, okay, it's a good thing that guy's got got like a slinky neck there, you know.